The Colombian is playing like a man possessed. Goals, assists, an engine and a work rate to match for days. And when you think of everything he could turn out to be if he continues at this rate, it's scary for the opposition. Luis Diaz is in the form of his life, and the crazy part about this is how Bayern cashed in at the right time. The saga was back and forth in the summer. Initially, Liverpool claimed Luis Diaz wasn't for sale after serious interest from Barcelona. Diaz was reportedly indifferent to the move. He'd just won the league title with Liverpool and wasn't really trying to force his way out of the club. But there was one problem, the one that changed everything. Diaz was one of Liverpool's most important players in that title-winning season of 2024/25. He bagged 20 goal contributions in 36 games for the team, even scored a hat-trick in the Champions League, but it still felt like Luis Diaz was undervalued, especially when it came down to his wages. They didn't reflect his status in the team. Both Liverpool and Diaz knew this too, and that's why when the offers came from teams like Barcelona, even though Diaz was interested, if it wasn't worth the financial package, Liverpool made it clear he wasn't going to leave until Bayern came along. Vincent Kompany's men were in a situation. In the same summer, they'd sold Kingsley Coman to Al Nassr and allowed Leroy Sane to leave on a free transfer to Galatasaray. They were short-staffed in the position, and so it only made sense to go for Diaz, but even Kompany would have known that getting Diaz to Bayern wasn't going to be a joke. When Diaz signed for Liverpool in January 2022, he signed on a 5.5-year deal that was supposed to last until 2027, meaning even this summer, he still had 2 years left on his contract. But this wasn't even the kicker. With the numbers he'd pulled up, there was no way Liverpool would let him leave for cheap, even if they decided to sell him. In a window where players like Benjamin Sesko and Mohamed Kudus were making moves in the 70 million plus mark despite not having the type of numbers Diaz had last season, the price tag Liverpool slammed on Diaz was always going to be high, and pretty justifiable too, so when Bayern reportedly dropped 67.5 million euros the first time, Liverpool said no. Then they came again with a 75 million euro offer. It might sound cheap, but in today's market where untested talent goes for even higher, this was still a risk. A gamble. More like Vincent Kompany and Bayern still testing the waters to see if Liverpool would budge, and in a shocking twist, Liverpool said yes.
Et Serge Gnabry.
C'est bien avec des profils différents.
Diaz was off to Bayern, again for 75 million euros, considering he had 25 goal contributions in 50 games for Liverpool that season. That's a goal contribution every 2 games. And we haven't even talked about the stuff he does off the ball, his work rate, the package that makes him a complete winger now. That's a steal. Just before we continue to what happened after Diaz joined Bayern, if you haven't subscribed to Kicks with Seb yet, now is the perfect chance. Just hit that button down below. It's that easy. Now he'd joined Bayern, it then became a case of whether he'd be able to replicate the same form that made him hot property in the summer, and looking back at it now, it's safe to say he more than has. He's in mind-blowing form. As of recording this, Luis Diaz has 10 goals and 5 assists in 16 games for Bayern in all competitions, and this is still just scratching the surface with him. It doesn't tell the full story. The most obvious thing about Diaz now is his end product. Even with the numbers he pulled last season, he wasn't exactly known as a goal-scoring wide forward. But now Diaz is getting into positions where he's converting chances. It's not just about the goals too, it's how they've come. 3 in his first 3 Bundesliga games as a Bayern player against RB Leipzig, Augsburg and Hamburg, alongside 2 assists, 2 against Eintracht Frankfurt, 3 goals in his last 2 Champions League games against Club Brugge and PSG respectively. Against PSG in particular, he was the difference. Again, the goals highlight him as a player now, which we will get, but still on his scoring streak. It's continued into other competitions as well. A goal and an assist in the 4-1 win against Köln in the DFB Pokal, scored in the Super Cup win against Stuttgart. All of this means Luis Diaz has scored in 4 different competitions for Bayern since he joined the club. It's a clear upgrade. In the Bundesliga alone, he's got 9 goals and assists in 9 games. The men he's come in to replace, Leroy Sane and Kingsley Coman. Leroy Sane, after 9 games in the 2024/25 Bundesliga campaign, scored once and assisted once. Kingsley Coman, after 9 games in the 2024/25 Bundesliga campaign, had scored 3 goals and provided 2 assists. Sounds decent, but this was off the back of just the 1 assist in his first 6 games. Luis Diaz has come and made a straight impact by finding the back of the net, but for all the talk about goals, it still doesn't justify Diaz as a player as to why he's that complete, why Bayern got him for a steal. It's because alongside the goals, Diaz has a special quality, a quality that even his former team has struggled to replace.
At Liverpool, he offered them a directness. I think the one thing with him that gets underplayed is just how much work he does off the ball. He sets the press, he sets the tempo. He saw that with the second goal tonight against PSG. But he's the one who sets a standard. And when you look at Liverpool now, they don't quite have that balance. You've got Gakpo coming.
His pressing, honestly watching Luis Diaz play sometimes is like watching a hustler trying to earn his pay. His energy seems unmatched. It's like he can run for days. The second goal he scored against PSG was a proper example. It's the work rate. He steals the ball off Marquinhos after pressing the PSG captain, gets through on goal and shoots, scores. But this isn't just a one-off.
Diaz and Kane and Harry Kane! There had to be a Harry Kane!
It's the same industry Diaz showed here in setting up Harry Kane against Frankfurt. The point is, there are very few players in the world who can do what Luis Diaz does now, work that hard in terms of pressing and closing down defences, while at the same time having the energy to be as effective in transitions. It's the perfect fit. Why? Because it fits the system. This is exactly what Vincent Kompany wants. Kompany's system is as basic as it is effective. It's a 4-2-3-1 on paper, but watching Bayern play, they'll eventually morph into a 3-1-6 formation. One of the holding midfielders will drop alongside the centre-backs to form a back three. The two full-backs will invert and push high up the pitch to dominate as much space as they can in midfield, and it's all for a reason. Kompany wants his team to play like this because he needs the space for his wingers. When Bayern closes the spaces in midfield, it allows the wingers, both Luis Diaz and Michael Olise, to isolate themselves in one-on-one situations against full-backs, and this just shows another aspect of Diaz's game that makes him an even bigger bargain. For all the talk about his goals, his work rate, and how direct he is, don't get it wrong. Luis Diaz is a baller. Some of the stuff he can do with a football is simply outstanding. The footwork, the ability to get out of tight spaces with dribbles, and sometimes the solo goals, amazing. Heck, he's even done it against the best fullbacks in the world. Throw it back to when he slashed Kyle Walker's price tag in half.
It's a good defensive header. Still plenty energy in the tank for Luis Diaz. Look at him go through Kyle Walker. Still going Luis Diaz. This is real hustle for the South American.
Damn, you don't teach that. It's pure skill. Now you can see why he fits Kompany's plans perfectly. It's a basic idea that works. Kompany knows if he can isolate his wingers against fullbacks, with the skills they have like Luis Diaz, they'll always get the better of them and create chances from out wide. They'll always find the spaces to either get on the end of crosses into the box or attack teams. And now, it's the collective. Since the turn of the century, we've seen some of the best attacking trios in the game. The MSN of Messi, Suarez and Neymar from Barcelona, the BBC of Benzema, Bale and Cristiano Ronaldo from Real Madrid, Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane and Roberto Firmino from Liverpool. This season, with the addition of Luis Diaz, Bayern might have just discovered gold.
16 games is 40 goals between the front three. That's frightening. Crazy. They're on to score well over 100 goals if they continue at this pace.
Luis Diaz is 1/3 of an attacking trio that has already notched up 40 goals as a unit this season. It's still only November. Honestly, with this trio, it's everything. Freaks. That's what they are in an attack. Luis Diaz is a complete winger. He combines goals and assists with dribbles, the work rate and the movement. On the other flank, it's double trouble with Michael Olise. It's just like the rest of Europe is only just clocking what Kompany is cooking. Remember Arjen Robben and Frank Ribery from all those years back? The robbery? Luis Diaz and Michael Olise are bringing that same energy. Olise, just like Luis Diaz, is sensational when facing fullbacks. He's like a trick box with so many skills, but at the same time, it's very clear just how determined he is to improve his goal count from last season. As of recording this, no player has taken more shots in the league than Michael Olise. Olise is adding this to his movement and his awareness of space, but if these two are double trouble, the third part of the attack is arguably the one that makes them all tick. Harry Kane. Beast. 12 goals in the Bundesliga, that's 2 times more than the dude in second place Jonathan Burkhardt. 22 goals in all competitions for Bayern this season. And just like Luis Diaz, this isn't telling the full story for Kane. He's a 9.5. That half stands for stuff like this. How many centre forwards can have this type of graft in the closing minutes of a huge game while winning? Kane's positioning is out of this world. He rarely operates as a number 9. He's in there picking pockets, spraying passes, getting tackles, providing the link-up for the inside forwards out wide to get into goal-scoring positions. And with all of this, Kane still bags his huge amount of goals. This trio has and will continue to be a problem for the rest of Europe, and focusing solely on Luis Diaz, he's the piece that completes it. We can't talk about him though without talking about the tragedy that affected him just before joining Bayern.
Harry Kane. Serge Gnabry for Bayern. Delicate little chip! What a story being written! Luis Diaz in his first official Bayern.
Losing a close colleague was tough, and maybe there's a part of Diaz that wanted to move to Bayern because he didn't know how to handle the loss of his former teammate, a friend. But now, what's in store for Diaz is scary. At 28, he's in what we could consider the prime of his career, his peak. He's in the form of his life, and he's doing all of this at Bayern. The genius piece that's working out.